Um, let's turn to Prince Harry, who last time I checked is identifying as a very irritating adult human male. I'm joined now by the author and historian Dr. Tessa Dunlop, former Chief Superintendent of the Metropolitan Police, Dal Babu, and Talk TV's royal editor Sarah Houston. Right, Sarah, just bring us up to speed, because Harry's involved in about 1,000 legal actions at the moment against the world. What is the thing that happened today and why is it significant?
Today, a judge decided that...
You are identifying as a woman, are you?
I am indeed. Harry couldn't have a judicial review on his request to pay for his own security when he comes to the UK. So when he was still a member of the royal family, working member of the royal family, he was entitled to 24/7 police protection, paid for by the taxpayer. When he stepped down in 2020, he lost that automatic right. He's got another legal challenge, which is about the decision to remove that automatic right. This in particular was about him wanting to pay for it. He made the offer that he would fund it. The Metropolitan Police said, we're not guns for hire. The Home Office said it would be inappropriate. And today the judge has decided that it isn't right. It would set a wrong precedent because effectively you could have all kinds of wealthy people coming into the UK saying, well, we want to hire Metropolitan Police officers to protect us.
But he could still win the review about the basic principle of whether he should be allowed royal protection when he's here.
Yes, and that review looks at the way in which the decision was made and the fact that he wasn't part of that decision. So it's not over yet, and actually he could still appeal against this part of it. But for now, he can't take it further. He does still have... We don't have a date set for the other wider case about him losing his security. It's about automatic security as well, because actually it will be judged on a case-by-case basis. So when he was back for the coronation, he was part of the security bubble. He was protected because he was attending a royal engagement. This is about when he comes back with his family.
All right, Dal, you've been a senior police officer in this country. As a British taxpayer, regardless of my personal feelings about Harry and everything else, just as a British taxpayer, why should I be paying, just on principle, for someone who's quit the royal family, quit royal duty, gone off to America, now makes hundreds of millions of dollars, normally by trashing his family, whatever, you can take a view either way on whether you agree with that, it's not really relevant. But why should somebody who's made that conscious decision to exit both the country and the royal family and royal duty, why should they get such a perk when they come back here of being protected by our Royal Protection Squad?
Well, I think that's a legitimate challenge, and I think that's what a lot of people are asking.
What do you think?
Well, I don't think he should be entitled to that, because I think he's not a working royal. If you're a working royal, no matter where you are in the pecking order, then you have that right to be protected. He's essentially, it's a commercial enterprise now with Prince Harry.
He's a celebrity.
Yeah, so he'll come along and he'll want that, all the resources there. We don't actually know how much policing the royal family costs. So essentially, he's unaware of what that cost would be. So in terms of the process now, he will, if there is a legitimate target placed on him, if there's any intelligence placed on him, he will be, like everybody else, have police protection.
Right.
Specifically for that. But I think what he's asking for is general protection, 24/7, which he's been used to all his life. I think he's now finding it extremely difficult to realise that working as a celebrity, working on a commercial basis, then the world is totally different.
Tessa, why? Why should we be paying for him to have unfettered access to one of the top protection squads in the country?
I'm going to explain to you in a sec why I think we need to flip that question around. But just to answer initially the point, or rather pose another question, is once a prince, always a prince. And I think what's interesting about Harry's case is the naivety, the presumption that everything that was around him, he wore like a second skin. If you have 24-hour security from the day that you're born, you probably don't actually realise where the line is, what's being royal and what's just being a regular bloke, celebrity or not. And I think it's been hard for him to shed that prince skin. He never will. It's one of the reasons why he's a global celebrity. But, Piers, the good news is, and it's somewhere to turn your attention in the future, if Harry isn't deemed to be a sufficient risk to need this protection, and we, the public, have shed that royal skin for him, then I would counter, why don't we start examining the bloated security bill that so many of the royal family guzzle? And incidentally, we don't know how much that cost is. It's higher than the sovereign grant, they think, because whenever people put in an information FOIO in it, they don't get a response.
So you would take away protection... Oh, hang on. For working royals who are day by day doing their duty for the country and in return they get protection because there are lots of people out there that may want to harm them. They're targets, right? We know that they've been attacked before, right? You would take all that away.
No, you're putting words in my mouth.
Well, what would you do?
Some of the lesser royals don't require...
Which of the working royals would you take it away from?
Well, for instance, I mean, did you get hot under the collar, as you have just done now on gender and Harry, about Eugenie in 2009 having a security brief involving...
They don't have security now.
Involving 2 policemen who went with her on her gap year to Cambodia and Thailand.
Just to be clear...
To be clear,
I was out with both her and her sister recently for lunch. They have no security.
In 2009, she had 2 working policemen with her in Cambodia
2009?
and Thailand. I'm just saying, did you lose it over that?
years.
I know, but I'm saying, actually, we have a vast security bill for lesser royals. Do people like Sophie and Anne need security if Harry and Meghan...
But they don't have 24/7 security.
No.
Exactly.
They have security when they're on royal engagements.
They have security,
when they're on...
and often their properties have 24/7 security paid for by us.
But I think what you'll find now, this whole debate will perhaps look at what is the cost of protecting the royal family generally.
Yeah.
And I don't think Harry has got a clue around what the cost is. I mean, I remember when the Queen and Prince Philip attended Enfield, it was a huge operation, not just the plot team, the specific plot team, but on top of that, you would have had every single venue would have to be searched by licensed search officers. You'd have to ensure
That's expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of that expense becomes quite significant. And I was talking to Princess Diana's former bodyguard, Ken Wolfe, hugely respected individual.
Yeah.
And Ken was saying it is quite shocking that during this incident in New York, which ironically was days before this ruling has come out.
Well, I don't think it was a coincidence.
But you end up with a situation where they've jumped into, they're worried about security.
Put him in a taxi.
They're put into a taxi. No idea who the driver is. No, and the driver's gone on and sold his story and whatever you. They then went back and sat in a police station. Now, if you had...
But these are people that worked on Obama's Secret Service detail, a part of this protection team, apparently.
Well, I mean, it seems incredibly amateurish, the way it was done.
I totally agree.
And if you had somebody with the skill level that the British police have, they would have looked at the journey, where the journey was going to go, where the individuals were going to go, what was going to happen. All of those eventualities would have gone. You wouldn't be jumping in the back of a minicab. Saying,
I did find it, and it's interesting how it's played out, isn't it, Sarah? Because when it first broke, that story, I was at home, I was like, oh, wow, this looks really serious. What's happened here? This is memories of Diana and everything else. There's been no footage. There's been no pictures. There's been nothing. This is New York City, Upper East Side at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday or whenever it was, right? It would be rammed with people with cameras. Nothing. There's no evidence that there was anything like a 2-hour high-speed chase through Manhattan. It's not even possible. The traffic wouldn't allow it. And then they stick them in a cab, which goes round the block and then comes back. And so this goes on, all to protect them from revealing where they were staying.
Well, this is about a standoff between Harry and the media, isn't it? Because Harry did not want the paparazzi to get a photo of him, and he's paying for that security.
But he's literally just been at a massive
That's
event
on his terms, though, isn't it?
for his wife to get a completely spurious award for being the world's most inspiring woman, for reasons that baffle me. But anyway, each to their own.
It's just Harry.
Is that Harry in the phone?
Sorry, it's just Piers once again. I'm looking for his milk of human kindness.
But they've been to this sort of, self-aggrandising media event where, of course, it's in the middle of Manhattan. It's in Midtown Manhattan, crawling in paparazzi. Of course it is. Of course they're going to follow them wherever they think they're going to be going. Why stay at a private residence you want to keep private? Why not go to the hotel like they normally do?
I mean, it's a battle of wills, isn't it? He doesn't want them to get what they want. If it's not on their terms, he doesn't want them to have that photograph. And if you're paying for the security, and you've said to your security detail, your one job is to make sure they don't get a photograph.
Yeah.
It's different
But
to
Tessa, here's my problem
Met
with this.
Police.
Here's my problem with this. They just... I don't know what it is. I don't know what is really motivating. Whether it's just a blind hatred of all the media, so any tiny thing they want to blow out of all proportion so that it looks like they're being hunted and whatever. But everyone I've spoken to about this incident in New York has said it just was not anything like the near catastrophe they were painting.
I can see there is a contradiction between their hunger for celebrity and their desire for privacy. But Piers, I'm asking of you to try and find some sort of empathy. I know you weren't born a prince. I know you're a pauper done good. But the bottom line is that boy had everything, and it is far harder climbing down in life than it is climbing up. And he has bucket loads of anxiety to do with his childhood, to do with the way in which his mother's died.
Here's my response.
So it's difficult for them, and they're going to have to keep on to pay for the security.
Here is my honest response to that, right? he has brought all of this on himself.
He hasn't, Piers,
right?
because of what he was
He goes
doing.
on like he's the only person to lose a parent, apart from anything else, right? My father died when I was 1, right? William lost his mother at the same time Harry did. He doesn't behave like this. This guy's quit the country, quit royal duty, quit everything, gone to California, lives in a wonderful mansion, and he sells his family down the river for vast amounts of cash every chance he gets. I have no sympathy
He's not
at all.
perfect, Piers, but he's naive, and he was to the manor born. And you asked Dal, Harry every day will be working out how he pays for that gigantic security brief to keep his paranoia in check. How much does it cost? Be honest.
Yeah.
To give someone like Eugenie or Anne or Sophie protection. How much?
Well, the
They
problem
don't
is-
get it. We've already established that.
yeah,
They get it when they're on royal duty.
Yeah, we haven't got the figures, but I mean, I think the difficulty, it is an enormous figure. I think the difficulty is with Harry, I don't think he understands how the world works in terms of how all that intelligence comes in, the briefings that have to be done. And do you actually want somebody walking down the high street to protect you, solving your burglaries, solving crime?
Do you know what he wants? I think he just wants to have his royal cake and eat it. It basically boils down to that. He wants to be, like he tried to propose to the Queen, half in, half out. He wants the good stuff, the celebrity status, the money, the trappings, the royal protection. He just want to put the shifts in. You know, in Cleethorpes on a wet Wednesday, going to an old people's home. And that's not the deal that the public has with the royal family. It's just not. The deal is they do all that stuff hundreds and hundreds of times a year, and in return, they get the trappings and they get the security and everything else.